Hello and welcome back to the devlog. This is week number 8. Starting on Monday, I implemented the functionality to, when you hit the stealth button, he will lose track of you. I'll demonstrate that shortly with other things. I touched up the laser visual effects, especially the muzzle flash. It wasn't showing, and I figured out how to make the laser flash show up again. I had previously set the URP settings to only allow one light per object for optimizing for VR, so I upped that, and now you can see all the lights properly. Um, After that, I turned my attention to implementing a shield visual effect from scratch. I didn't really want to go out and buy one this time. I kind of wanted to get my hands dirty with working more with shader graph and getting to know the nodes a little bit better. I feel a little bit comfortable after working with the stealth shader. I can actually understand it a little bit better. I found out later that I actually had a nice shield VFX from Amplify, but the problem was it was rather complicated and it also didn't work. It was something broken about it when you hit play, so I just decided to go with my own custom shield effect and build it on my own. I think it turned out pretty good. On Tuesday and Wednesday, I finished working on the shield. It all came together. And then I kind of turned to working on how to take damage from the shield. What happens when a laser hits the shield? I was struggling with collisions again. I'm doing some tests, but um, what I really wanted at the end of the day was particle collision. I had worked with that previously, but I was trying to implement it with like a regular, collider, and it just wasn't detecting properly. Um, but raycast particle collision, even particle collision, I don't think I tried particle collision, and that wasn't working consistently reliably. What was working though, I found, was this raycast collision. The point that it hit, that was consistent and reliable. The particle collision was better than the regular collision, but um, it wasn't detecting all the time, consistent and reliable. The raycast collision, since the shot is pretty much instant, it would actually it would work the best where I could set a point on the shield target for it to act as a hit. I had to go into the shield. So this is my VFX here. I can walk you through this real quickly. Um, so a lot of inputs to, I had to make a custom texture and follow the tutorial, split off to different, like the color and the transparency and other things. But basically, for the shield collision detection, as you'll see in a minute, I needed to have like a point and pretty much mask off, because I didn't want the whole shield to be showing all the time. I want the shield to be invisible and only show up when a laser hits a certain point. So I had to mask off a certain area, like in a circle. How to do that. So I had to translate a point from world point, but the problem was when he's moving around, like I want to be able to hit the shield from all sides, front, back. It needs, so the raycast would set a point, but then when he moves around, the point would move around in world space. So I needed to figure out a solution to, when the raycast hits a point on the shield, to actually create an object at that point that sticks around, so when he moves, that point on the shield will still stay there. So I came up with that solution and it worked pretty nicely. Um, Other issues was the shield. I couldn't figure out the shield is picking up, even though it was transparent, it was picking up some sort of like it kind of looked like it wasn't fully transparent. There was kind of like a gray out, it was like a gray shield. You couldn't see through it clearly completely. And that I figured that was because of the I did a lot of testing. That was because of it was picking up like a fog reflection. So I wrote I just custom function to like disable the fog rendering for this particular material, and that seemed to work. There's still a little bit showing. It wasn't completely transparent, but after the hit animations played, I control the alpha clip to 0 or to 1, say. It's opposite. So it would actually, nothing would be showing. So you only see the shield when the laser hits it and takes damage. And so the hit point and the visual effects looking good, and I turned to so when the laser hits a certain amount of times, I want the shield to go away, and then he starts hitting the character after that. So there's a health limit. So on the shield, I used a vector controller component that's usually used for a character on the shield, and that controls, you can set the health, and that takes, I wrote custom logic so when the particle collision happens, it'll decrease the health, and when it goes to 0, the action to disable the shield collider is removed. So then now now he'll actually hit the character. And once that was done, I set up the already existing health on the character controller, so when he starts taking damage from the laser, he will actually, it's already set up where he plays a death animation, so I didn't really have to do anything there. Worked out nicely for the time being. And that was pretty much working by the end of Tuesday and Wednesday, so I'll go ahead and demo the functionality here. You'll see. So I changed the tint color on the Unity application, so when you're running it, it's like a blue tint, so you can see clearly now that you're running in play mode, so you're not mistaking and losing your state when you're changing things around. So as you can see, that's a couple shots, the shield goes away and he dies. I'll play that again. And so when the shield, it starts off at a blue color and it's slowly transitioned to red and it goes away. The more it gets damaged, which I kind of wanted to indicate your shields you're not in good shape, the more damage you're taking. I also implemented a subtle movement detail. So when the laser hits the shield, it kind of warps a little in the different axes, so kind of like a bubble. It just isn't stationary. It kind of flexes in on itself. It's kind of hard to see, but it gives that subtle little touch of visual effects. And then when you're taking damage, so you can take damage from all sides, and then when you stealth out, he loses you. And that pretty much wrapped up that. So moving on, we'll load up the next scene here. Let's see. Scenes. I believe it's this one. So moving on to Thursday, I got the shield done, and I turned to the next task. So shield and player damage, that didn't take too long. It wasn't too bad. It took about as long as I expected. A bit of work. But I turned to the next task, the player shooting, and this is a larger task to do. It's actually a what they call a epic task, because there's a lot of other subtasks that need to be taken care of in order to implement the actual shooting, say, VFX and damage. You actually need to be able to hold the gun first off, and then, aiming, and then things like, going from a unequipped state, no gun in your hand, to actually holding a gun, equipped to unequip. How do you make all that happen? So I started diving back into the Invector system. It's a very large and complex system, and I previously explored other branches of the system to implement functionality like basic locomotion, but now I'm diving into the actual shooter controller component of the system. So I had to upgrade my my character controller to inherit from the shooter, the higher level shooter controller class. So it's kind of intimidating. I started to go down a rabbit hole of wanting to refactor the Invector input system again to move over to an event-based system. I was kind of concerned with before, like the legacy system. When you hit a button, it'll interfere and something will happen behind the scenes that you're not intending. It'll read an input value and something will have some undesired behavior, like a conflicting action. But the problem is I needed to I couldn't just refactor out the whole system. I would be breaking my rules again of changing the dependent system packages. I didn't want to do that. So in the end, I got back to my path of, not changing the underlying system, but just overriding behavior. I think that in the end, a goal would be to, in fact, to refactor out the entire legacy Invector input system completely. But the timing I need to keep in place in order to run the Invector demo controllers to understand the system to see how it works. So it just have to be like that for now. In the final product, I'll have to make sure there's no legacy system to make sure the input is clean. Nothing's getting interfered with. So as a developer, I kind of have a bad habit. When I encounter a complex system, I kind of want to burn the whole thing down and build, my own system from scratch, rather than just decipher a complex system. It's not something, you get into. It's tempting to go down that path, but it's better just to, it's not practical, actually going and doing that. So once again, shooting is a big goal, so I kind of had to chop it up into sub tasks. I really just focused on, I want to take a look at these demo controllers and figure out how to just make my character hold a gun. So a lot of different pieces to actually holding a weapon. They all kind of work together. I still have the shooter manager, but all these new things like the draw weapons component, the item manager, the weapon holder, the inventory, different other components on the mesh to actually hold the weapon, get to it, all the way down to the hand bone. We have the pistol holder component where you can actually have a point, like to actually put the model here, and then a pistol handler. where you have defined your IK point. So lot of moving pieces. So analyzing and testing with their demo controller, how does it work? Going into the code, like running it and say, okay, it does this and that. It's like putting together a big puzzle, big complicated puzzle, but slowly but surely the pieces start to come together and the picture becomes clear. Like, oh, okay, I see how this works. I eventually got to the part where, okay, how, I get him to equip the gun to hold the gun, but he goes into a pose, like a holding the gun, and it's like, why is he doing something like that? Well, behind the scenes, the code is actually setting in the animator to go put weight on a default position. If I can go to it, go down to the animator, and somewhere in here, there it is. So basically, it would turn up this only arms animator here, and you look at it, it would set the weight up. It's actually using a mask to just mask off everything but the arms IK. And if you look at it, goes down to free movement, it has this, so that it goes to 0, so you can actually set for each type of gun, you can actually set what the upper body pose should be, but since there's nothing set, it would go to the pistol pose here and look like this. So I was trying to figure out how that was working, so just going to the default pose, okay, that's fine. I thought it had something to do with IK, but I would get to that eventually, where I would give him a gun at a certain point, but then he would make a pose, but the hand position, I had to get in there and figure out how to use, how to create a new IK adjust. Let's see if I can actually edit the points, and that took some doing, figuring out how to adjust the IK so he holds the gun properly, the hands are in the right place, because they're all messed up before. So if you do this like this, and basically it gives you points to kind of adjust the different IK points. And anyways, finally figured out how to align it so it looks right. The hands are in the right place for aiming, and the different states aiming, and then idle. I have to put a lot more work into the system. I got it to a place where it looks pretty good, but there's some wonky things going on. The system's kind of finicky. It could break at any second. Like in this IK adjust, he's pointing up, like the aim target. It's like, where is that even? Like, when this is not operational, let's close this. Oh, now it's misbehaving, but right, it works at testing, like just out of the box right here. I had to kind of blind tune it at the end, so it's not ideal. A lot of these systems too, like the inventory system, adding the gun, the interface was kind of broken and wonky, so it wasn't perfect. So I had to find a lot of workarounds and stuff to make it work. But at the end of the day, he's holding the gun in the right position, and when you push the aim button, he actually aims correctly. The odd thing is that he aims only in one direction, so he'll turn around and point in this direction, and for some reason it's slightly off and to the left, but he is pointing level, so there's some more work to be done. Also, there's some strange camera issue, on the gun equip when you move around. It kind of jumps like that. The camera zooms in and zooms out. So there's some issue going on there. Let's see what else is there. Um, so the aiming and other things. So a lot more work to be done in the goal of getting to all the shooting functionality done. Uh, I I put some more work in at the end of the week, and I wanted to get to the functionality of starting off in an unequipped state with no gun and no gun showing, and then you press an action input button, and then he equips the gun. So that's another challenge. Now we're working with the inventory system, the item manager, and diving into how all that stuff works, and then setting like an equip point, telling the system, okay, spawn the object and equip it to a certain point on the armature. So I'm getting there. It's just going to take a bit more work to figure that out. Because these invector systems, they're heavily tied into like a UI system functionality. I'm not interested in like a UI screen functionality. I just want to tell the system to, hey, spawn this object in at this point on a button action. So I kind of have to modify and make my own custom code for that purpose. Eventually, I'll employ their UI system inventory, their full functionality, but I just want to get the basic equip unequip action working from an unequipped state. So upcoming work, fix the aiming, fix the camera zoom bug, implement the basic equip unequip from inventory. After that's all clean and working good, I want to do the same thing I did with the enemy, player firing, VFX, player shooting state, recoil, things like that, shooting animation. Use a different VFX for this gun, this pistol gun. I wanted to do an akimbo, but that was a bridge too far. Like, I wanted to do like two pistols, but it's kind of a more of a difficult challenge. I just wanted to get holding something and shooting something working for now, because akimbo it seems the system can handle like left arm and right arm weapons, like a dual, but it might take some custom work, and I don't think I have maybe the animation. Maybe I need animation. I think I might be able to make it work with IK, but it'll be a whole nother thing to actually do a dual wield kind of like a submachine gun or dual pistols. That's what I wanted to do, but I just need to get like a basic shooting going for now before I take that step. So implement the player firing VFX, player deal damage, just like I did with the enemy. Like, so damaging the enemy has a shield, and their shield will go away, and they'll get destroyed as well. Player animation. So that's kind of like the goals for next week, and get there. Still the secondary goals: enemy visual nose cone, rain effects, and then working more on the enemy AI enemy AI behavior. Specifically, there's an issue when you're in the scene state, but you go into cover, the controller doesn't seem to work properly. So there's more work on that end. But yeah, plenty of work, plenty of things to do for this project. That's about it for now. I think we've spoken enough for this week, and we'll catch you next time. See you later. Goodbye.